Do you want to know what it's like to have goats? Maybe you're thinking about getting a couple goats. If you're considering it, there's some things that you should know about goats. First off, they are a lot of fun. They are always making me laugh with the silly things that they do. To me, they are like toddlers. They are mischievous, they get into things that they should not be getting into, but they are so cute. Woo! Like Amelia Bedelia, who's knocking over my camera right now. They like to nibble on everything. Hey! But they are so playful and loving and friendly. They really are a lot of fun to be around. They're a joy to have on this farm. One of my favorite parts about raising goats is the goat babies. Oh, I love you too, Amelia. You were a goat baby once. You were so little. Yes, you're still little. Yes, you're still little. I have Nigerian dwarf goats. So they are one of the smallest breeds of goats, and it's the perfect size here for our small farm. I have 2 children, ages 4 and 7, so they come out and they play with the goats, and I'm comfortable with the kids coming out and playing with these goats because they're friendly, they're small in stature, they don't have any horns because they were disbudded when they were babies. This is Calvin James. He's got little buds on the top of his head where his horns would develop, so he's going to be getting disbudded so that he won't have any horns to get tangled in fences or hurt anybody on the farm, including the kids and the other goats here. Right? We wouldn't want to accidentally hurt anybody. Right? But his brother, Freddie James was born polled, meaning he does not have any horns. So he does not need a disbudding procedure like his brother's gonna have done tomorrow. But goats, they do require daily care. So you want to make sure that if you're gonna get baby goats, you have to have really good fencing because they are smart and they will use their brains to figure out how to escape. Whether that's over the fence, under the fence, through the fence, they are going to try their best to escape. For my goats, I have pallet fencing that is solid, that they have not been able to go through except for the gate when we're coming in and out, where they like to push their way through and escape, and they do that often. So that's something that we do have to get them back once they escape. Luckily, you shake the grain barrel and they'll typically come running. If you're gonna have goats, you're gonna be looking at least twice daily check-ins with them. In the morning, first thing in the morning, I'll come out here and make sure that I fill up their water. They get fresh water morning and night, and I will give them their breakfast where they get some grain, and they always have hay at all times, so I make sure that there's more than enough hay for them. For my goats, their shelter is their shed, and so they use that to sleep in at night and to go in when it's raining or any inclement weather. So it does have shavings down, so you do have to clean up after your goats. They do poop and pee wherever they feel like it. And they poop and pee a lot. So you definitely have to factor in time for cleaning up after them. And also their hay, once it falls to the ground, they typically don't want it because they will soil it. In the evening, I come out and I make sure that they have fresh water. I give them their grain and make sure that there's plenty of hay for the evening. I do lock up my goats in their shed at night because predators are a problem when it comes to goats. So making sure that your enclosure and your goat shed is safe against predators is something that all goat owners need to do. So those are some things to think about if you're looking to getting goats similar to like with a dog or a cat, where you need to make sure they have fresh food and water, shelter, veterinary care. For goats, they do need their vaccines, their annual checkups, parasite control, and goats have hooves, and their hooves need to be trimmed up roughly about every 6 weeks or so. So you'll have to factor in hoof trimming. That's something that you can learn to do yourself. That's something that I do myself here on the farm. It's certainly something that you can learn to do for your goats. But I love raising goats. They're so wonderful and sweet and so much fun. I get lots of laughs here on the farm with these goats. And you have options depending on the type of goats you get. You can get dairy goats if you'd like to raise them, breed them, and then milk them. And that way you can use their milk as a food source, or you could make goat soap or lotion with that. There's also goats that are specifically bred for meat, so you can raise meat goats. That's an option as well. Certainly goats can be kept just specifically as pets because they make great companion animals. Isn't that right? Yeah. So if you really want a cute, cuddly, lovable goat for a pet, just know you'll have to get more than one because they are herd animals. So ideally 2 or more. I started with my 2 goats who were twin sisters. They've done really well together. And now Fancy Nancy, who had her twin boys, who have joined the herd. If you don't have any other farm animals that you're coming out twice a day to take care of, it'll certainly be a bit of an adjustment getting used to the schedule. But I look forward to coming out each morning and just that quiet morning and coming out and petting the goats and checking in on everybody. It's just a peaceful time of day. And then again at night, making sure that everybody is doing okay. The important part in the evening is to make sure you're taking care of and getting your goats into their shed or barn or stall before dark, because once it's dark, that's when a lot of predators will be out prowling, and it's just much safer for them to be inside their shed at that point. There are some lifestyle adjustments that you'll have to potentially make if you decide to venture into goats, and that would be just making sure that morning and night you are available to them, to be sure that you can let them out of the barn in the morning and feed them, give them fresh water and hay, and then again in the evening putting them back inside of their barn or shed, feeding them, making sure they have hay and water overnight. They should always have a supply of hay and water at all times, being that they're ruminants. And also grain, if you are feeding them grain, you'll want to make sure that they get that in the morning and evening. But similar to a toddler or a puppy, you're gonna have to goat proof the yard that they're gonna be staying in, because they do, oh, don't chew on the camera. They do chew on things that they're not supposed to. So you want to check the yard and make sure there's nothing that they can ingest that they shouldn't. So there are plants that are toxic to goats, so you're gonna have to check for that, because they will certainly taste test quite a few things that they should not. Okay, so if you're sold by how cute and cuddly and lovable they are, and you don't mind the maintenance that comes with taking care of them, then next you should watch my video on basic goat care. That video will go into more depth about the basic care for goats. You should check it out.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want a farm? A wicked awesome farm? Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah.